going?
You know, I'm sad that I'm here and not playing Kong
It's
Rise
tough.
of Skull Island or whatever the hell it's called.
It's really tough to have to live lives where we have responsibilities away from the beauty that is Skull Island Rise of Kong.
Oh shit, that's what it's called. I didn't even realize. Skull Island Rise of Kong. A game that should not exist, and yet I'm so glad it does.
Yeah, so really happy that it defied all the laws of physics to appear in our reality. Have you had a chance to have you just looked at it, or have you had a chance to play it?
I saw that tweet.
Yes.
I dropped it in Slack and said, we gotta play this. And then I was doing a bunch of stuff yesterday, so I haven't watched the Be Light Club or Blight Club yet. Oh, but I didn't realize Tony Award-winning Alex Boniello popped in.
Yes, he did. Did you?
Oh my god!
Have you heard this?
I just found the clip. No,
yes.
but I'm gonna watch that after.
Apparently he was incredibly high, and then texted Dan this MP3 of him singing the song Mike Minotti, or however it goes. And then Dan just dropped that on us unbeknownst to us, and it was very, very off-putting and strange, and I don't like it one bit.
I love it.
It was a good time. That game, that's something special. That game, it's I don't know. It's something about okay, you are. I think you can get the King Kong license public domain in certain ways, but it's called Skull Island, which I don't know if that is public domain. I'm really confused about how it all works. So did they get the license and then they're just whatever, we'll put this out there, $50 and $50?
I
think it's $40. This one's $40. I think this one's $40. I can't. It's too much money, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But watching Dan play it, when we got done, we were just we could maybe play more of that. We could maybe, because it's bad in a pretty fun way. You're always waiting for the next
Gollum,
and then the next Gollum moment inside the game where it's okay, what's this next cutscene going to look like? What's the next boss fight going to be? And it's always something bad in a really fun way.
I was going to say, I don't even think Gollum was fun in a bad way. I think it was just bad.
Yeah, it's just kind of bad. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks actually,
Yeah, this is definitely worse and yet more entertaining. I would have a better time with this, I think, than playing Gollum. All right. Let's talk about what we do here most weekdays. Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Super Mario Brothers Wonder Review Roundup. This is actually the game that has everyone going gaga. This is from Nintendo Everything. With only a couple of days to go until launch, Super Mario Brothers Wonder Reviews are now starting to go live, and here's a roundup of some of those results. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. It says Super Mario Brothers Wonder looks and plays like the true next step for 2D Mario platformers. Wonder effects change each stage in both surprising and delightful ways. The Flower Kingdom makes for a vibrant and refreshing change of pace, and Elephant Mario steals the show. GameSpot gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. Says Super Mario Brothers Wonder is a bold choice for a name. It plants a flag in the ground that suggests anything less than a constant sense of awe and delight will be a failure by its own terms. But then, surprisingly, Mario Wonder rises to the challenge and results in a modern classic. The Wonder effects are the marquee feature, and for good reason, as they serve as a springboard for a cornucopia of creativity. But it's the smart and thoughtful choices around new power-ups, badges, online multiplayer, and visual flair that cement this in the Mario canon. This is the rightful successor to Super Mario Bros. World, and hopefully will serve as a touchstone for 2D Mario going forward. I call it Super Mario Brothers World. Super Mario World. The game's got a 93 on Metacritic, way higher than I was expecting, actually, I think. That's pretty impressive.
You were expecting lower than that?
For 2D Mario, the new, okay, so it's been several decades now since Super Mario World, and then we had a bunch of new Super Mario Brothers games, and they have been 88s at the top, I think. Maybe a few of them snuck above that. But in my mind, new Super Mario Brothers on the DS is kind of a B. It's a B. It's a 80. It's not It does never blew my socks off. The games got better, but then you had the diminishing returns on well, this is still New Super Mario Brothers in a lot of ways, and so I was like, maybe that's just 2D Mario. Maybe that's just 2D Mario, and like that, like it's gonna be sort of this vanilla known quantity, and it's good, and people like it, and it sells really well, but it's not ever gonna be in the Game of the Year discussion. This feels like it puts it squarely in the Game of the Year discussion. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, from everything, I was talking to Skill Up about it when we were recording FPS last night. He's so hot on it. So is Completionist. Yeah, it sounds incredible. I am not like a jump out of bed, go buy the new Mario game kind of gal, but this one's actually got me really interested because, I don't know, like I really enjoyed what we played at PAX.
Definitely. And then are you someone who enjoys platformers in general, or is that not quite your genre either?
You know what? I think it's time to stop lying to myself.
Yeah,
I don't think I really enjoy a platform. Yeah, I like a platformer, but I don't love a platformer.
But I think, okay, so for me, platformers is like, when I think of video games, I think of platformers. That's where I'm at, Lucy. But I grew up on Mario. And if you're someone who's like, didn't grow up on Mario, I wonder like what platformers could have got you there. And if you probably did enjoy a lot of platformers, especially back like in the the 90s or whatever. But they haven't, that genre was the like marquee genre for a long time, and then it wasn't. And so it's easy to be like, okay, yeah, I played it then and I don't play it now. I imagine that's kind of how you feel. But I mean, there's nothing offensive about it, I'm sure. But like, so when you see this, like the thing that's kind of getting you is like, this looks like it has a ton of ideas, right? Because that's what we were talking about when we came out of playing it at PAX.
Yeah, and that's the thing that everyone who I've spoken to who's played it, they're just like, oh yeah, when you find that wonder seed, it is just so magical and wonderful. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll give it a go. Yeah. I want to experience joy again.
Sure, I guess.
But yeah, and also I'm at the point now where, we don't need any more Game of the Year contenders.
That's definitely true. That's pretty well. Do you have like the games that are like a short list of let's say we had to submit a document to say, hey, these are the games that should be nominated for Game of the Year. Do you have like 5 or 6 games in mind?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, Baldur's Gate, obviously, up there. Dredge, Dave the Diver, Final Fantasy, Dead Space Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Are
you leaving a spot open? Yes. Are you leaving a spot open for Alan Wake 2?
Always.
Yep. Yeah. So it's already significantly more than 6 games, so yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I know what you mean. But boy, I'm glad I got Spider-Man 2 done, so I can just hop right into Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers Wonder when it's out, because I've been really looking forward to this, and this is my kind of game. So yes, very excited to see the mostly glowing positive reactions. There was like a single 7 out of 10, and even that's like, hey, this is a good game. It's just like some of the stuff didn't work for me in terms of always being in awe of everything. And I think if we're setting the bar like there, where it's like be in awe of everything, I could see like some people are gonna be like, yeah, some of this stuff worked and some of it didn't. I think from the GameSpot snippet here, and I haven't read the full review yet, but I will today. It says the multiplayer stuff, actually, the online multiplayer stuff works surprisingly well and is a positive. And there's no like online cooperative play. There is something like online play where like you play the game and then you swap ghosts. I can't even remember exactly how they said it worked, but I'm going to have to probably see it for myself to fully understand it anyhow. But I think that's very exciting for me as someone who has spent a lot of times in something like Astrobot, like doing speed run times and swapping that back and forth with Mike and Dan. And if it's anything close to that, or a similar, gets close, acts in a similar way, I'll be very excited. But mostly, let's just get in there and see what all the fun surprises that they got in store for us.
Yeah, like has Nintendo finally figured out how to do an online game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say mostly probably still no, but a cool online feature in their game, maybe because they, some. The Spot Pass or Street Pass, like that's not an online feature, but that's like a fun little thing that you can do that is clever, an implementation of like their NFC technology or however that worked. And Nintendo's okay at some stuff like that, where like, here's a novel little thing. But if you're like, okay, but what if I just wanted to play online with my friends and have that work and be not laggy? And Nintendo's like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. No. I don't know her. No. All right, let's get to the September 2023 Circana report from Matt Piscatella, who is at Circana. September 2023 U.S. video game market highlights from Circana include U.S. consumer spending on video game content, hardware, and accessories growing more than 10% compared to a year ago. That's totaling $4.5 billion. Growth in spending on video game content and accessories offset an 8% decline in hardware. When you look at the hardware was at about 451 million compared to 490 million a year ago. We'll kind of talk about some of the hardware details here in a second. But for the top 20, Starfield was number one. It released in September. Number 2 was Mortal Kombat 1. Also a new game that released in September, followed by EA Sports FC 24, Madden NFL 24, and then 3 more new games for the month, Payday 3, NBA 2K24, and the Crew Motorfest. That runs out the top 7. And then it goes to Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, Hogwarts Legacy still hanging out in the top 10, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 at number 10, also still hanging out there from last year. I'm not too surprised Starfield's at the top, but this is a game that is on Game Pass, a game that a lot of people were probably going to play through that. And it turns out that it did sell very well. It sold even better on PC than it did on Xbox, though. That's not too surprising because I think the saturation of Game Pass on Xbox versus PC is probably much greater. So if the kind of people who were going to show up to buy this game probably were on PC. But that's a pretty good showing for this game. It's already number 7 for the best-selling games of the year in the United States, according to Circana, just behind Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So that's pretty impressive for that game. Yeah. Let's see.
I think so.
Yeah, let's see what Matt Piscatell has to say about it. He said, Starfield was the best-selling game of September, instantly becoming the 7th best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date. Starfield ranked as the best-selling title of the month across both Xbox and PC, with PC being its lead sales platform. And then for Mortal Kombat 1, since Mortal Kombat 1 debuted as the 2nd best-selling game of September and the number 8 best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date, Mortal Kombat was the best-selling game of the month on PlayStation platforms, placed 2nd on both Xbox and PC, and ranked 3rd on Nintendo Switch. So a lot of people out there buying that version of the game. Yep. Overall, though, the market seems pretty healthy. Video game sales up really big with all these new games launching. A lot of people showing up for them. And I'm like trying to think, is there any game because we have Starfield, Mortal Kombat, EA Sports FC 24, Payday 3, NBA 2K24, and the Crew Motorfest. And just a note there, NBA 2K doesn't include the digital sales. Is there a game that came out that month that didn't make the top 20? It sounds like everything down through the Crew Motorfest performed pretty good. People are buying games, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about what came out that maybe isn't in here, but damn, yeah, that's a good showing. And yeah, despite everything selling, famously stable in the games industry right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing where it's when we look at these numbers, it's hey, a lot of money coming in. Everyone seems to be doing pretty all right, and then the companies are like, no, we're freaking out. We got to fire everybody. There's the dichotomy there. There's a split between reality and how these companies are perceiving reality. And a lot of that comes back to the money coming in from selling video games is I always imagine it as you sell a game, that money goes in a bank account, and that money goes to the people that made the game. And of course, that's not how it works. These companies are moving their cash around so that they might be mostly paying their employees by borrowing money and things like that. And that was really effective for a long time because interest rates were really low. And so you could borrow money and pay your staff. And then kind of that was a good use of interest rates and good use of your funds. And now that's not an option, but these companies sort of got used to that. And now they're looking around man, this is a really tight situation. Even when you can kind of look at it and be like, it doesn't seem that tight out there, but that's how they're behaving. Go ahead,
Lexi
please.
brings up a good point. Lies of P was not on that list.
Okay, Lies of P. When did that launch?
End of August. Payday was on that list, but Lies of P.
Yeah, Payday was number 5. Yes.
And then but I mean, Lies of P sold 1 million.
Yeah, I wonder if that's. I think that's likely that it's the publisher
People
doesn't report
Bloodborne.
Digital sales for that one.
People like Bloodborne, and they just want to play it.
It was September 19th.
Sony.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, people if that game sold 1 million copies and it's not here, it's just because they must not have reported full digital sales. And people do like Bloodborne. Imagine if they did just a Bloodborne and it was 60 frames per second. How well that would sell. That would be best-selling game of the year, probably.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Some of these other things. EA Sports FC 24 was the third best-selling game of September. Again, this is Matt Piscatella. Double-digit percentage growth was seen across both units and dollars when compared to FIFA 23's September 22 launch month. EA Sports FC 24 launched as the 14th best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date, ending September. That's got to be good news for EA, who changed the name of this game from last year and yet saw growth. There was a huge marketing campaign. Seems like that paid off. I don't know. What all your British friends saying? Are they all like, oh, yeah, EAFC 24? I know that game. That's just FIFA.
I think I've heard a single person call it EA. What is it? EA Sports FC?
EA Sports FC. Yes.
Look, I'm going to be real here.
Oh, shit.
That is a terrible name.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Terrible name. Like, it is so generic.
It's got the name of the publisher in the name of the game. Yes, EA Sports.
Yeah. EA Sports FC. What was that? Football club?
Yep.
You don't even have.
It would be
terrible.
It'd be like if Call of Duty was called Activision Shooter 24.
Yeah, or NetherRealm punching guys.
Yes.
I don't know. It's too early in the morning.
NetherRealm spine crusher. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Bethesda boring space game.
I think that is the name of it, actually. But yes.
The thing is that you can imagine the consultancy that they had to get in, like, they would have had a room of like people who are on $200,000 a year just sat around a big whiteboard and going, what are we going to replace FIFA with, guys? Oh, I know, EA Sports FC.
Mm-hmm. It does feel like, what is something we could call it that we're never going to have to change the name again, because it's just like, yeah,
stuff we own.
It's all stuff we own, and it's just it is exactly what it says on the 10, like EA Sports FC the year. Let's go. But
like, what does the box art look like? Does it just have a massive football on it to be like, this is what this game is?
Probably a football,
EA
and then a guy who kicks footballs. That's almost certainly what is on there.
I don't know. EA Sports FC box.
Right.
It's someone that I don't know.
Is it that blonde guy?
It is a blonde guy. Who is it?
I don't remember his name. But I assume he's like Swedish or something because of the blonde hair. I'm very racist.
John Football.
Johnny Football, everybody.
Oh, Johnny Football.
That's a different person in America. That's Johnny Manziel.
Erling Haaland? Haaland, yeah.
Erling Haaland. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Okay. I mean, yeah, looks good.
And he's Norwegian. Okay, Norwegian. Okay. That makes sense. I can accept Norwegian.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. For video game hardware spending, it fell 8% when compared to a year ago, as Matt Piscatella mentioned earlier. Single-digit percentage growth in consumer spending on Xbox Series hardware, so that's up, was offset by declines across both PlayStation 5 and Switch. And Lucy, not too surprising that the Switch is seeing some declines. It's up and down. It's not like consistently down, but it's mostly down. Yeah.
The red one is nice.
Yeah, the Mario one, yes. And that one sold really well in Japan, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be like a bigger deal here, or at least not a bigger deal here as it was in Japan. But whatever, it's up and down in a way that's pretty surprising still for a 7th year of a video game console. For me, I was like, I did take note of the PlayStation 5 having a year-over-year decline, because I know for a fact the PlayStation 5 is the furthest thing away from being in trouble. And yet even that system is like not always 100% of the time growing. I assume that must have been a comparison to God of War, right? Because did God of War come out in September last year?
November.
It was November? Okay, so I'm trying to think, like, what came out?
What was that? Game released in September?
I feel like there was something. I can just go, let me do this. I'm going to go to Google and write September 2022 MPD. And then GamesBeat comes up, just like I always plan that to happen.
NBA 2K?
Yeah, that was Splatoon 3. There's The Last of Us Part 1 remake, I guess. That probably was something. That was like number 5 on the chart. So, okay. So the comparison's probably, I guess that brings me back to the original thing I was getting at here, where for a while there, the Xbox was down year over year. And I'm like, man, what's wrong with the Xbox? Seems like people just don't care. But it's like the PlayStation 5 also can have a month where it's down. It's like, okay, this can maybe just might be happening, where last year was still that reverberations of coming out of COVID and the behavior changes that happened there, and people were buying a ton of systems, and people were looking for systems, and it was still hard to get. So when they were there, people were rushing out, even if they necessarily didn't necessarily need to have the console for any particular game. And so I think it's like still weird comparisons overall. So even something like the PS5, which again we know is not in any trouble whatsoever, it's like skyrocketing even past the pace of the PS4 in a really impressive way. It's like, okay, so in the US, occasionally these things are going to still be kind of weird coming out of those COVID comparisons. That said, I do think single digit improvement year over year for the Xbox in the Starfield month. I think I was expecting more. I don't know. What do you think, Lucy?
Definitely, I thought Starfield would result in a kind of a bigger uptick, but I guess maybe not. Yeah, it's just a weird one to gauge as well, because you have a year that is so stacked. It's like, are people actually buying a console just for this one release, or is it just because they hear about everything incredible that's been out this year and like that's what it like justifies their purchase? So it's an interesting one. I mean, it's also there's going to be ebbs and flows. I wonder if broader economic factors, not to get too into that, but like maybe people are kind of pulling back on a big purchase because it's also the run up to Christmas. Things are very uncertain in a lot of sectors right now. Yeah. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3 is actually kind of the surprising one. If it's not coming out on Xbox, you would expect, obviously in terms of software, but like maybe people buying a PlayStation for that.
Yeah, I think for PlayStation fans, it was probably like Baldur's Gate 3 is a unknown quantity to them as something coming from a computer RPG, and hearing all these great things about it. But I think it's the kind of game that if you're on PlayStation, you buy if you already have a PlayStation. You don't necessarily run out to get a PlayStation to take a risk on, is this the kind of game I'm going to like? Because I think a lot of people don't know if they're going to like it until they play it. That said, I think the ebb and flow thing you said, it does feel like maybe we are in a bit of an ebb situation, because people were like, I'm going to get a PS5 next month when Spider-Man's here. I'm just going to wait for that. So like, I'm not going to buy it now. I'll wait until that PlayStation 5 Spider-Man version of the console and the faceplates are all out in store, and I'll just get all of it at the same time. And so I'm just going to save my money now. I could see that happening, because we also do know PS5 is going to have a monster month with Spider-Man 2. The game is already, it wouldn't have, if it was like an 80 on Metacritic, it wouldn't have mattered. It still would have been probably one of the top selling games of the year, if not the top selling game of the year. And now that it's a low 90 Metacritic, which is so impossible to get, and people are losing their mind for it, and it's still Spider-Man, and it's this big exclusive, it is just going to just sell a million copies. And so, yeah, the PS5 is going to be just fine this month now in October. So again, that ebb and flow, we're going to see it ebb now, flow next month, and we'll talk about that at that point. Last little bit here, accessory spending during September increased 11% when compared to a year ago to $197 million. Gamepad spending increased by 15% in the month compared to a year ago, while racing controller spending grew by 18%. I suppose
the Forza pervs.
I suppose that must be the Forza pervs, yes. When did Forza Motorsport come out? I thought that was also in October.
It was October, but
it must be getting ready for
everyone's prepping.
Those are the kind of people that would prep like a month before. Yeah, they really are.
I mean, given how like you got to move all your furniture around, you got to get you got to fine tune and tweak
you got to
everything.
think about your whole life. Yeah, I do think about my whole life sometimes when it comes to racing wheels, because I got my racing wheel right over there, and it's on the floor, and I don't have a good place for it. So I'm like, I got the TV right here, and I got a recliner right there in front of it, and that's great. But I'm like, what if sometimes I move the recliner and then had one of those real deal, like racing seat setups, not like a full, like a $10,000 thing, but one of those like just metal bars and a little racing chair that you could sit in, so that the wheel has a place to sit. I'm like, I could get one of those and just start playing some racing games. But I'm like, I don't even play that many racing games.
Yeah.
And yet,
do you ever sit and take stock of your life sometimes and be like, you are living the dream?
Yeah.
Like that you can just do that, and no one's going to be like,
it's a heinous like amount of privilege.
You have a supportive family.
It's disgusting.
What's that like?
I imagine. Here's what I do. I do take stock, and I sometimes imagine it as going back in time and finding my ancestors in World War II and trying to explain my life to them. I always imagine what that conversation would be like. Like they're literally in the bunker in like Germany or whatever the fuck it was in France. And I'll be like, okay, so I sit in my basement and I play these things called video games and then I talk about them. And I suppose the easiest way to explain it is I get paid to have an opinion about it. It's like, what skills do you have?
These thumbs.
Yeah, these thumbs, bitch. Take that. Have fun with whatever this is.
Your great grandfather, bitch.
That meal looks fucked up. Enjoy that. I'm gonna go eat some fast food that's 2 minutes away from my house. Yeah, I do take stock, Lucy, and I never come out feeling great about it, but it's pretty good stuff.
You got to feel hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed, exactly. For these accessories, them being up like a more than 10% double-digit increase in accessories, that always says to me the industry is very healthy. That's always how I read this. If accessory spending is up, it means people are imagining themselves playing video games all through the rest of the year. They're thinking about, hey, I'm going to need another controller because we're going to be playing a bunch of games. My friends come over and I'm getting a fucking racing wheel because I'm imagining I'm going to be buying Forza. If people are buying controllers, it's because video games are going to continue doing well. So it's like this good early indicator, I think, of how the industry is trending. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about more about Mario Wonder and a whole bunch of news out of Xbox from an interview that Phil Spencer did with his team. We'll get to that right after this. We're back. More news. Lucy, let's get into Mario Wonder here. This is more of like a quick correction from like a story we talked about earlier this week where someone's like from that worked on Mario Wonder said, yeah, we just felt that we had to make that Mario Wonder stand out because of the movie. And I was like, maybe they saw it during the production or whatever, because there's no way they just saw it when it came out live. There's not enough time between then and now to make Mario Wonder what it is. Turns out that might not have been exactly the case. So the Mario movie had no influence on Wonder's new character designs, says developers. This is from Jim Norman at Nintendo Life. We are just days away from the release of Super Mario Bros. Wonder on Switch, and as has become something of a tradition, Nintendo has today released the first two parts of an all-new Ask the Developers interview series about the upcoming game. The conversation covers a range of topics, including how the team settled on the theme of Wonder and the changes that have been made to the game's visuals and sound design. But one section that immediately stood out to us was all about the influence that Illumination's The Super Mario Bros. Movie had on the game. You might assume that the film's forecasted success, remember both were in development around the same time, would have weighed heavily on the developers' minds, potentially even influencing the brothers' new game design. But as it's written as bros with a period, and I'm like, I know it's brothers, but it's so weird to just like get that to work in my brain.
Or if you're in the UK, like the band Bros.
Bros, yes, I'll just say that from now. Super Mario Bros. When asked about the film's impact on Wonder's expressive character designs, the majority of the interview panel, which contains the likes of producer Takashi Tezuka, director Shiro Mori, and sound director Koji Kondo, among others. Man, I'm so glad Koji Kondo's still doing. Answered in the negative. Art director Masanobu Sato explained that the team didn't hear anything about the film's content during development, instead citing the ambition to exceed New Super Mario Bros. 3D models as a more influential reason behind the fresh character designs. And to me, Lucy, that sounds right. You are coming off of literal decades of New Super Mario Bros. Design that is very sterile, very safe, very simple, and very cheap. And one of the main reasons Nintendo kept going back to it is they could reuse assets, and most people were like, "That's fine. I'm just glad to have a 2D Mario game to play with my family." But that had clearly ran its course, and they had to do something. And I think that's where all of this came from. And then coming out of the Mario movie and being like, "Hey, this is almost as expressive as the Mario movie. In some ways, it's even more so. Isn't that great?" It's like, yeah, we planned that, maybe. And it's like, no, not really. It just kind of came out of a need to do better than what they've done before. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I think so. Although I would have loved it if, they had like one of those moments, that when Miyazaki goes, "I strongly feel like this is an insult to life itself," about like Chris Pratt or something. But maybe that happened. It's just behind the scenes. But I can't remember who dropped this in. Kane Highwind did. Did you see the thing about the live commentary?
I did not.
I just dropped it in our chat in Crew Talk.
Okay.
The game originally had live commentary, and you could pick between a generic voice or a Sundara version.
Oh, hey, what now? Wait, what does that mean? How does that work?
I don't know. Like a rude.
Yeah,
like
so,
Cinder is like being
yes,
like a
it's
super rude
it's
version.
like yeah, rude, but like still wants to be around you despite the being rudeness. Like the rudeness is implying something. It's rudeness with an implication.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. So
and that's commentary. Okay, yes, explain.
So yeah, Hayashida. So Mori said Tezuka-san once asked, "Can we have live commentary?" And then blah blah blah. And then Hayashida-san said, "We actually spent about 6 months seriously developing live commentary. We tried adding voices to match the players' actions, even though we've added various voices. Questions like who's doing this commentary started to pop up amongst the team." And then Mori-san says, even the team was evenly split, those in favor and those against. The default voice was very generic, like a newscaster, but you had the option to switch into a Sundara commentary. And apparently, according to their playtests, quite a few people were switching it to that.
It's like going to Dick's Last Resort, which is that restaurant where the waiters and waitresses are very rude to you. I like that, the sound of that.
Yeah.
So is this actually? They're saying it's not in the game, but it was planned.
No, it's not in it, but they were working on it for like 6 months. And then I guess everyone's talking about the flowers. So the flowers, the compromise there.
Oh, okay. I could see that. Yes, because that does have its own voice actor.
Yeah. So instead of having like a live commentary, then they've got this little guy.
Interesting.
Little guys.
Yeah, those little freaks. I hope they release that. Everyone in the chat is saying DLC. I'm with you. DLC. That would be great. Just release it as free DLC. It's like
free DLC. I heard that.
When you originally said it, I thought it was going to be director's commentary. Like I thought it was Tezuka like talking over it and explaining what's going on. And as a nerd, I was like, that's very exciting. But the idea of them getting play-by-play John Madden style over your gameplay, that's also that. I would like to see how Nintendo would pull that off. I would like to see what that would actually sound like.
Yeah.
Xbox boss pledges no more exclusive Call of Duty skins or timed content. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Phil Spencer has reiterated Xbox's pledge to maintain 100% parity for Call of Duty across all platforms, now that Microsoft has acquired creator Activision. Speaking on the official Xbox podcast, Microsoft's head of gaming suggested that the kind of exclusive skins and timed exclusivity on content drops, such as betas seen on PlayStation, would no longer happen now that Xbox is in charge. For Call of Duty players on PlayStation and in the future Nintendo, I want you to feel 100% a part of the community, he said. I don't want you to feel like there's content you're missing out on, skins you're missing out on, there's timing that you're missing out on. That's not the goal. The goal is 100% parity across all platforms as much as we can for launching content. I say as much as we can on parity because clearly some platforms have resolutions and frame rate differences just based on performance, but there's nothing else.
What? Your platform? The Series S?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't think
Phil?
I don't think he means it in like such a derogatory way, right? He probably means it like hey, the Switch is doing as best it can. I think it's how he means it. It's out there really just huffing and puffing, and we're on its side.
Yeah. It's always so funny because it's like it's the thing that it is Xbox. Like that's the thing. It's like talking about other platforms, blah blah blah. And it's like, but it's our platform.
Yep. And I definitely get the sense here that this is the kind of thing where yes, we are so magnanimous and we're so thoughtful, but it definitely comes back from, and I believe that they believe they are that this is how they feel. But when you trace it back far enough, you get back to the point where like they had to convince a regulator, so they said they would do this, and now they're committing to doing this. It's like when you try to trick your brain and be like, I love doing dishes. Let's go do some dishes. That would be great right now. And you're like trying to convince yourself. It's like that kind of works a little bit. You could kind of control your brain and tell it like something. And it'll be like, do I? And I think that's kind of what's happening here. We're like, no, we love this parody and all this stuff. I don't. I don't think that Xbox ever had some alternative evil plan here either. Yeah. But I do think that them kind of coming out and being very proud that they're not going to have the timed exclusivity anymore is more a sign of like, this is the agreement that they've already made. And if they went back on this, regulators could still come after them. So they're not going to do that. And that's
I was going to say how much of that is what Xbox actually want to do and versus a regulatory demand. And also, someone in Twitch chat was like, big Xbox hater, Lucy. Like as a joke, I assume she got an Xbox today. So no.
Yeah, and it's like the good news for us is like what they want to do and what they are doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if what comes down. It's like this is nice. Yeah, sure. Then that's a positive, I suppose. And
I think it is a positive, but I also like I wonder how this is going to continue to play out. Like
Sure.
Like I really hope that this is not just something that they are, like for a long time, Phil has been talking about, how important it is. Like he wants to be on the side of gamers, making sure that franchises like Minecraft are on other platforms like Switch and, partnerships with Nintendo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm intrigued to see what happens now that Activision Blizzard King are part of Xbox. Like it's huge for them to make sure everything is still on every platform, but it's like, I hope that it comes from, I don't know, like, I hope he just kind of sticks to that message.
Yeah, like I'm with you. I hope that the incentives that are beyond the regulators, which I think is the like prime incentive here originally, but obviously I think that they are finding other reasons that this makes sense and other reasons to feel good about doing things this way. I hope that stuff is strong enough to kind of keep them on the straight and narrow with these things. I whenever we talk about the way these companies behave and where the way executives behave, I'm always operating under the assumption that everyone is on the same page as me, as we are under a system where incentives are kind of screwed up. And when I go to the shop to buy a sandwich, and the store owner there's making the sandwich, they want to charge me as much as possible for that sandwich while giving me the least amount as possible. Those are the incentives of the system. But I'm not going to carry around this specific angst for that person who lives in the system and is just behaving the same way I would if I was running a sandwich shop. So I'm not going to like criticize every single individual running a video game company for that stuff that I think is a systemic problem. So if like when we talk about this, like, oh, I hope he stays on the straight and narrow, I know that he's being bent towards the desire to get the most for his investors. I do think, though, that he thinks, at least it seems this way, that if they do behave in a way that is mostly positive towards the people buying their stuff, that will have a better long-term a result than if they were to have short-term gains of like, what can we do to basically charge the most while giving the little right now. We'll see how that turns out. But for now, I'm hopeful as much as I can be under capitalism. And what can we do? Continuing with Phil Spencer, more stuff out of that interview that he did with that podcast. Phil Spencer is all in if teams want to revisit classic Xbox and Activision franchises. This is from Jonas Maki at Game Reactor. It didn't take long last year when Microsoft announced that they were going to buy Activision Blizzard before fans started making lists of classic franchises they would like to see brought back and suggesting studios that should develop games created by other teams. Now that Activision Blizzard is officially part of Microsoft, the wish list has grown even further. But is this something that Xbox Phil Spencer would even allow? It turns out the answer is yes, as Spencer visited the question on the latest episode of the official Xbox podcast to talk about the acquisition. When he got the question about teams reviving old beloved series, he said, if teams want to go back and revisit some of the things that we have and do a full focus on it, I'm going to be all in. My question to you, Lucy, is do you think that that kind of thing can happen frequently? It's a studio going back and bringing back something that people have been asking for, if it's this sort of thing of if a team wants to do it, as opposed to maybe Phil Spencer being more proactive about it. What do you think?
That's, yeah, I mean, because you have... I mean, what's the scale of it? Are you going to go all quadruple A like Perfect Dark, or is it going to be more of like what's that phrase of like a little group?
A Skunkworks team.
Skunkworks team. Kind of just going in, coming up with a prototype, coming up with some like get the feel together and then pitching it. Like I think that would be awesome, but also at the same, why is it called that?
Yeah,
but
why is it called Skunkworks team? Yeah.
It's like, if you look at the realities of video game development right now, how expensive everything is,
right?
How feasible is that realistically going to be? I think in terms of all of the franchises that Xbox now owns, in terms of all the studios that Xbox now owns, certainly they have resourcing. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Matt Booty and Phil Spencer taking a look and being like, are we going to put our eggs in this basket? Or are those eggs best placed? We've got a lot of food metaphors today. Are those eggs best placed in a different kind of scenario, like supporting a bigger project rather than taking a risk on a smaller one.
Right.
And that's something that the industry in general is kind of like dealing with. It's like money is like games are so expensive. So I would love, and like even this quote that you're going to read from Phil, it's like definitely there's opportunity there. I think it's also going to be, you know, they're not going to say, oh, well, you really like that franchise, so we'll give you $10 million to do something on it. It's got to be a way more considered approach than,
yes,
fuck it, let's ball, let's bring back everything. So
yeah, so let us read this quote from Phil, who says, I do think with Game Pass, we have the ability to maybe pick a couple franchises every year and almost to like a revisit it. I think is what he's saying. And he said, I just made up that term. So good for you, Phil. That's always fun when a CEO's like, I made up a new word.
Being the boss, like, I'm just going to make up a term and that's what's going to happen.
I just think about CEOs always drives me crazy is how proud they are of like, just kind of put a little spin on the words. Learnings is my least favorite word. It's like that. There was a word for that. It was called lessons. And you just saying learnings because you heard another executive say it. But okay, so he says, like a revisited. I just made up that term. So it's not a brand on a box, but you know, I tease about things like Hexen just because I remember playing it as a kid. I have no plan for that, but I do think when you look across all of the franchises that are part of our teams, there's an opportunity for us to go back, even if that's just a recognize the moment and what those things meant in gaming's history and do something right with it. Make it available to people through Game Pass. I think there's an opportunity. And I think, so him saying this, I think this continues to kind of shed a light of like how he thinks about it, and it needs to be studio led, and they are going to have a space open in their heart and in their budgeting for ideas like this. But I think for studios, you hear this, and I think it's like you can maybe bring an idea like that to us as long as you have the big thing you're working on in production as well. And the reason I say that is I look at something like Obsidian, which does have several big projects in the works, and then they were able to do Grounded as well. It's like, well, if you can spare the people and you have an idea that you're passionate about, we will say yes when it comes to, do you need money for this thing that you're passionate about? That's the one thing that we've kind of, a little bit of insight we've had, and this does come from that the Psychonauts 2 documentary. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Yeah.
A Psychonauts Outlaw Dream. I can't remember what it's called, but that huge thing that had, there's some small parts where they do meet with Matt Booty after they get acquired by Microsoft. And, you know, Tim Schafer's really worried about, hey, man, we got to ask for more money. We need more money for this game. We've never really done this at Microsoft before. And he goes and asks Matt Booty. Matt Booty's like, yeah, sure. Here's a bunch more money. And I think that's probably going to be the experience of a lot of these teams. If you have an idea that you've been working on and that you think you can bring to market and you have a plan for it and you go to ask money for it, I think you're probably going to get a yes as long as all of that stuff is in place. But I think of a studio just being like, are we going to pick a name out of a hat and just start building a pitch around that? I don't think that's going to work. You're going to have a really strong idea. And even then, it's like, is that the kind of thing that you could see through to the end, or is it's like you start it and it's a false start and you kind of give up on it and a lot of these things end up getting canceled? I wouldn't be surprised by that as well. Mm-hmm. But
I mean, because even from the Bethesda acquisition, have we seen any, other than the rumored Oblivion remake, you would think they would be mining...
Right, I'm trying to think.
Stuff a little bit more. Like Lexi brought up, like no word on Fallout New Vegas 2, for example, which seems like such an easy.
Right, I did hear that there was conversations between Microsoft and Bethesda and Obsidian about New Vegas 2. That was a very, very early conversation about maybe we should do this, and whether or not that turns into anything real. There's so many steps between that game coming out and what I've heard has happened there.
Bring back Wet.
Yeah, bring back Wet. We need Wet back. Oh,
where my Wet head's at.
Please don't clip that thing of me putting two words together accidentally, everybody. I'm so sorry. Jesus Christ, I hate myself. Okay. The thing here is, you were saying, like, what have they brought back any of these old games? No, what they have been doing, though, is like smaller little projects that they feel proud about, and that's Pentiment and Grounded and stuff like that. That's and I think that's maybe what is more likely to happen. These studios we're under Microsoft now, And yeah, we could go bring back something that already exists, but now is a chance when we can actually make that game we always talked about making, and we can take a chance on that. And Microsoft's going to say yes because it might fit in Game Pass. So I think that will kind of, the opportunity cost there might lean more towards these studios wanting to do something original as opposed to being like, oh, we're the team that's going to take over Banjo. Excuse me. I think that's less likely.
Mm.
All right, let's go here and say that, yes, Paradox Interactive parts ways with Harebrained Schemes after the Lamplighter League. This is from Zoe Handley at Destructoid. Paradox Interactive and Harebrained Schemes have announced that the two companies will be parting ways. This comes after Paradox expressed disappointment with the performance of the Lamplighters League. Paradox has originally acquired the company in 2018. This is kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. And it's a little bit unfortunate, Lucy, because the way that this kind of went is Paradox was like looking at how the game was going to perform, and then it came out, and they're like, we are writing this off, basically saying that we're going to take a huge loss on this game. I do believe they've laid off many of the people that work there, and now they're kind of setting them off on their own and saying, go fend for yourselves. The people that remained at Harebrained Schemes say that they are looking for new publishing partners, new opportunities. And they probably, the good news is the video game industry is so desperate for content and talent, they probably will be able to find something, but it does feel a little bit like a raw deal of, hey, the Lamplighter League, its biggest sin seems to be it was rushed out to market, and that was very unlikely the choice of the people that worked at Harebrained Schemes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, despite, being in the video game trenches day in, day out, I think we walked past this at PAX.
Yeah, we did.
Other than that, I've barely heard anything about it, and it's very difficult right now for any game to cut through the noise.
Well, this one came out with like a 60-ish Metacritic, which is just a death nail this year, right?
Exactly,
there's no
and
chance.
It's the Immortals of Avium curse too, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who is your publisher, if fundamentally the game is not good, and fundamentally if the game is not good in a year like this, full of 9s, 10s across the board. Yeah, you're gonna struggle. But I mean, yeah, didn't Paradox they lay off a bunch of people before the game even launched too?
I think so. They've been laying people off for a minute now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's rough that this is happening to the team. Getting acquired, thinking that you've got that security from a bigger publisher, more money, but as we've seen many times, that is not the case. Look at what's happening with Bandcamp, for example, getting acquired by Epic, sold off, and then half your team is out.
Yeah.
And so all the best to the folks at Harebrained Schemes. It seems like they got a really bum deal.
Yeah, this is the team that did BattleTech, the really well received tactical mech game. Not just well received, beloved. A lot of people really love that game. And you're like, man, they must have been working on a sequel, right? But I don't know. Lamplighters League is one that I had some curiosity about. It is an Indiana Jones style thing, but with tactics and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I'll check that out if it's good. And then you see the reviews, and it's like it's really broken. And I remember talking to people who were playing it for review on Xbox because it's in Game Pass, and they're like, "This is the game that has caused my Xbox to crash more than any other." It's in several dozen times it caused it to crash. Jesse from Xbox Era said that he played the game for 30 hours and made 10 hours of progress because he lost so many saves due to the crashing. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff you just can't launch. You can't launch a game in that state and expect anything. Of course, the game was dead on arrival. If that's the kind of stuff people are hearing about it.
Did you see? Speaking of crashes, did you see the Mortal Kombat crash log thing?
That is wild. 1 gigabyte. Okay, so apparently when Mortal Kombat crashes, it sets aside 1 gigabyte for the crash report. That's like
1 gigabyte.
Even the crash report, that's got to be a bug. It's like even the crash reports are a bug. It's incredible stuff. I didn't think it was. I did notice some of the tweets about it were like, "Oh man, Western studios are at it again." And I'm like, I know a lot of Western studios make very big games in terms of the size it goes on your hard disk, but do games from Japan not have large file sizes? I didn't get that was an East versus West thing, but whatever.
Maybe. Well, I mean, given that a lot of stuff is for the Switch,
Yeah.
Maybe they're just used to it.
You're right. Maybe they're much more concerned with optimization because of the Switch. That makes sense. But then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, 2 discs. And that's a marketing feature, though. So
2 discs, and that's double the quality.
There it is. Absolutely. Okay. Let's hit these last couple of stories. Actually, just this last one here. Nintendo reminds us a Switch version of Hogwarts Legacy is still coming. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. After a few lengthy delays, it seems that Hogwarts Legacy is finally on its way to Nintendo Switch. Fans of the Wizarding World will be able to take their adventures on the go on the 14th of November, and digital pre-orders are available now. Some screenshots came out. They look pretty good. I'm still of the opinion that there's just no way that this game can run decently on the Switch. We'll see.
Let me look.
Yeah, go take the screenshots look solid, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think we have any video of the game in motion yet, which is what I'm really kind of waiting for. And even then, I'm not waiting for a trailer from them. Those Warner Brothers, they always lie to me. Yeah, like Hogwarts. Hogwarts had issues on PC.
There's no UI on any of these. So.
Yeah, that's what I was. I looked at the screenshots. I'm like, these feel a bit bullshotty to me. But who am I to judge before I play a game?
Whomst amongst us can judge.
We'll see. I don't think that they want to get through the end of this year without this game coming out on the Switch. I think they want to have it out for the holidays, and November 14th seems like the kind of the good time to get out before Black Friday. Basically, is what they're. So Thanksgiving is the 21st this year, right? Is that the 4th Thursday of the month? Let me double check here.
I don't know, man.
It's okay.
Why are you asking me?
It's the 23rd. It's always the 4th Thursday of the month, in case anyone ever asks you again. There you go. So yes, the 14th is basically a week before that. That's kind of the last chance to get it out by then. We'll see. I'm going to be very curious about that one, though. All right, let's get to the poll from yesterday. I asked, and I have it right over here somewhere. And by somewhere, I mean, I'm going to bring it up again on youtube.com/@giantbomb/community. You can read the question. What are you playing this week? Or what are you going to play this week? Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, or Sonic Superstars? 6% said Sonic Superstars. 44% say Marvel Spider-Man 2, and 50% say Super Mario Bros. Wonder. That tag team of Spider-Man and Mario Wonder, Lucy, is pretty incredible because like those are yes, really highly rated. And then they're probably there's a possibility like Zelda's out and Hogwarts Legacy are out, and they were like they sold very well. There's a possibility these two games could end up outselling both of those even and be like the best selling games of the year. So a big weekend for video games, isn't that right, Addie?
I want.
What do you want? Where's the? That's a good question. It's right here, dude. There you go.
No.
There you go. I'm gonna turn it on for you. There you go. Okay, you just want to hit the input button and go to PlayStation. All right. She's been playing all the Sonic games. She's playing. She's bouncing back between Frontiers and Superstars actually. So.
Oh my god.
She's enjoying it.
Oh, so cute.
All right. While I get another poll question going, Lucy, what do you have going on? Where can people find you? All that good stuff.
So we are actually recording this week's episode of Jeff Jeff's Bizarre Adventure tomorrow. So that will be going up as soon as possible. Got 2 more episodes of Cowboy Bebop.
Ooh.
I did a big. I love how much Jeff loves it.
Yes, me too.
Like we were at Mike Mahardy's wedding on Friday, and we were having the meal, which was lovely, beautiful wedding. And he literally was like, "Oh my god, Bebop, guys!"
I mean, every time like he talks about Jeffs, he just like has to stop and be like, "Cowboy Bebop, best anime ever made." I'm like, "Yep, that's correct."
Spike Spiegel, like, oh yeah. So we're recording that tomorrow. I haven't watched the episodes yet, so I'm not sure which ones they are. Bebop is also leaving Netflix at the end of the month, so coming over to Crunchyroll, I guess. Like me, I did a big timeline of Cyberpunk last week. It went up on Sunday over on GameSpot if you want to watch that. This week on Friends Per Second as well, we've got Brian Intaha coming in talk about Spider-Man 2. It was a very fun chat.
Can you do me a favor and ask him this?
I'm also seeing him tomorrow.
Okay, so ask him in the game. there is a scene where, and this is just a not even really a spoiler, everybody. I promise you, it's not really a spoiler. There's a scene where Mary Jane gets frustrated because her story's not going to get in the paper because a hack reporter wrote a shitty story with the headline.
I saw your tweet.
Yes. Can you ask them if that's from his experience working at EGM with Shu? Because when I worked with Shu at Bitmob and then at GamesBee, that's one of the cliches that I remember he hated the most is lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. If you do that construction in a headline, he would lose his mind. And so I asked Brian if that's a reference to that or if that's just coincidence. Because I can't imagine that it's a coincidence from a guy that was like at EGM at that time working with Shu. So especially when you're trying to illustrate that it's a hack reporter, like that's the point of the scene. So yeah.
Can you message that? Can you DM me that?
I will 100% message you that. Yes, absolutely. And then tell him that I said money hat, and fragile eagle. I'll message you that as well.
Oh yeah. And then the other thing is we've got Spot on Friday. Don Garcia's asked what it's going to be about. Don't know yet. We've got that meeting at 11 a.m. So we'll find out then. But that's going up on Friday too.
Ooh.
Oh.
I have the new poll question. Do you ever buy games that you know are bad? Yes or no? I think it's a tough one because, like, for me, I'm like, I do track down these bad games, but I have my ways of getting them without having to pay money for them, so it's a little bit unfair. I don't know if I would have ever bought Skull Island, Rise of Kong for $40 or $32 with the introductory sale on Steam, knowing it was bad. Back in the day, I was always so scared of wasting the few opportunities I got to ask for video games from my parents for like birthdays and Christmas on a bad game. And I think that gave me a real aversion to that for a long time, where it's like, I'm not going to waste my time on something that the reviews aren't glowing. And I think I missed out on some like stuff that I would have enjoyed that was, most people thought were mediocre. But now I'm at a point where it's like, I definitely want to be playing as many bad games that are like marquee bad games as possible. Because I think there's, maybe it's the Blight Clubness of it, but having that perspective on gaming and like how you could do things so wrong still is really fun. So we'll talk about that on Game Mess Mornings tomorrow here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, we will have, Blight Club later today. Major Mitch should be finishing up his tour in Mortal Kombat Special Forces on the PS1. And then, I can't think if there's anything else today, but tomorrow, voicemail dump truck, stuff like that. For tomorrow also, Thursday night throwdown, TNT for Halo Infinite. Get your Halo Infinite downloaded. We'll have some fun with that. That will be around, I think, 1 p.m. Eastern. And then for if you I see Hammond of Texas asked what time for a Blight Club today. I think we're doing that the normal time, which is 2:30 p.m. Eastern. And that puts it about 2.5 hours from now. So we'll see you then. All right, Lucy, thank you so much for talking with me about video games today. I super appreciate it.
Now to do the rest of my stuff for the day.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time. Have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. How do you get out of this level? You got to hit start and then go back.
Oh.
You got to go